There's a particular kind of child who learns to read emotions before they learn to read words. They know the weight of a sigh, the meaning behind a closed door, the danger in a silence that stretches too long. They become fluent in the language of adult pain long before they understand their own. These children don't get bedtime stories about heroes and adventures. Instead, they become the hero in someone else's story, holding up the weight of a grown person's world on shoulders still learning how to carry a backpack. If you were one of these children, you know what it feels like to have grown up too fast in ways no one can see. You know what it's like to be small on the outside, but ancient on the inside. Because when a child becomes their parent's therapist, something shifts in the architecture of who they become, and that shift never fully goes away. Most people assume childhood is about being cared for, but for some, childhood is about doing the caring. It starts subtly. A mother who cries after every phone call and looks to her 8-year-old for comfort. A father who vents about his struggles and waits for reassurance from a child who should be worrying about homework, not adult heartbreak. At first, the child doesn't recognize what's happening. They just know that when they listen, when they say the right thing, when they soothe, something settles. The tension eases, the parent smiles, and in that moment, the child feels needed, valued, important. But what they don't realize is that they're not being loved, they're being used, and there's a difference, a profound one. Psychologically, this dynamic is called parentification. It's when the roles reverse and a child takes on responsibilities that belong to an adult. Emotional parentification happens when a child becomes their parent's confidant, their emotional support system, their source of validation. And while it might look like closeness, it's actually a betrayal of the child's developmental needs. Because children are supposed to learn how to regulate their own emotions by watching adults do it first. They're supposed to feel safe expressing fear, sadness, confusion, knowing that an adult will hold space for those feelings without collapsing. But when a parent leans on a child emotionally, that safety disappears. The child learns that their feelings are secondary, that their job is not to feel, but to fix, not to need, but to provide. And so they stop being children. They become tiny adults trapped in a body that still needs someone to tuck them in at night. What makes this so damaging is that it feels like love. The parent might say things like, "You're the only one who understands me," or "I don't know what I'd do without you." And the child, desperate for connection, clings to those words. They feel special, chosen. But beneath that specialness is a suffocating responsibility. The child starts monitoring their parents' moods the way a sailor watches the sky for storms. They learn to anticipate needs before they're spoken. They become experts at de-escalation, distraction, comfort. They craft their personality around what keeps the peace, and in doing so, they lose the freedom to simply be. Because when you're constantly managing someone else's emotions, you don't have space to explore your own. You don't get to throw tantrums or make mistakes or be messy in the way children need to be. You have to be good, calm, wise beyond your years. You have to be the adult when the actual adult cannot be. There's a particular loneliness that comes with this. Other children seem so carefree, so unburdened. They complain about curfews and chores, while you're lying awake at night wondering if your parent is okay, if you said the right thing earlier, if you could have done more. You feel decades older than your classmates, but you can't explain why. You can't tell them that you spent the morning talking your mother out of her sadness, or that your father treats you like a friend he overshares with, not a child he protects. Because if you say it out loud, it sounds wrong, and maybe part of you knows it is wrong, but admitting that feels like betrayal. So you carry it quietly. You become an island of your own understanding, surrounded by people who will never quite grasp what you've survived. Here's what happens in the brain of a parentified child. Their nervous system is constantly on high alert. They develop what psychologists call hypervigilance, an exhausting state of always scanning for emotional threats. The amygdala, which processes fear and stress, becomes overactive. Meanwhile, the prefrontal cortex, which should be developing the ability to play and imagine and dream, gets recruited early for adult-level problem-solving. This creates a wiring pattern that lasts into adulthood. Even decades later, these children struggle to relax. They feel responsible for everyone's feelings in every room they enter. They read between lines that don't exist. They overfunction in relationships, giving endlessly while secretly resenting that no one gives back the same way, because they were taught that love means being needed, not being cherished, that their value comes from what they can do, not who they are. And the cruelest part? They often don't realize how much they've lost until they're adults themselves, watching other people set boundaries they never learned to set, watching people say no without guilt, watching rest without feeling selfish. The parentified child grows into an adult who excels at empathy but struggles with self-compassion. They can hold space for everyone except themselves. They know how to heal others but have no idea how to tend their own wounds, because they were never shown that their wounds mattered. They were taught to be the bandage, never the one bleeding. There's a name for what these children carry into adulthood. Psychologists call it emotional enmeshment, where boundaries between self and other become dangerously blurred. The child internalizes the belief that they are responsible for other people's happiness, that if someone is upset, it's their job to fix it, that their worth is measured by how much they can hold, how much they can carry, how much they can endure without breaking. And this belief becomes so deeply rooted that even when they're no longer living with that parent, they recreate the same dynamic in friendships, in romantic relationships, in workplaces. They gravitate toward people who need them because being needed is the only form of love they know. But being needed is not the same as being loved. Being needed is a transaction. Being loved is a gift. What people don't understand about parentified children is that they often speak highly of their parents. They'll say things like, "My mom and I were always so close," or "My dad told me everything." And from the outside, it looks like a beautiful bond. But look closer and you'll see the child never got to have secrets of their own, never got to be protected from adult realities, never got to be selfish or immature or wrong without feeling like they were failing someone. They were close, yes, but at what cost? The child sacrificed their childhood for that closeness. They became a supporting character in their parents' life instead of the protagonist of their own. Some of these children grow up and convince themselves it made them stronger, and in some ways it did. They are incredibly emotionally intelligent. They can read people like open books. They're the friend everyone calls in a crisis, the partner who anticipates needs, the colleague who keeps the team together. They have skills that others don't because they were forced to develop them young. But strength born from survival is different from strength born from safety. One makes you resilient but exhausted. The other makes you confident and whole. And the parentified child is almost always the former. They are strong, yes, but they are also tired in a way that sleep cannot fix. Tired of holding, tired of being responsible, tired of pretending they also need someone to lean on. The saddest part is that many of these children still protect their parents, even as adults. They make excuses, they minimize, they say things like, "They were going through a hard time," or "They didn't mean to." And maybe that's true. Maybe the parent was struggling. Maybe they didn't realize what they were doing. But intention doesn't erase impact. A child should never have to be the one who holds their parent together. A child should never have to translate adult pain into something manageable. A A child should never have to parent the person who was supposed to parent them. And yet it happens more than we talk about, in homes that look normal from the outside, in families that seem fine, behind closed doors where a child learns that their feelings don't matter as much as keeping someone else afloat. If you were that child, you might recognize yourself in these words. You might feel the ache of a childhood you didn't get to have. And if you do, know this: it wasn't your fault. You didn't ask for that role. You didn't fail by being unable to fix everything. You were a child, and children are not meant to carry the emotional world of adults. You deserved to be held, not to do the holding. You deserved to be comforted, not to provide the comfort. And the fact that you survived it, that you became who you are despite it, speaks to a kind of resilience that runs deeper than most people will ever understand. But survival isn't the end of the story. Healing is. And healing means giving yourself permission to finally put down what was never yours to carry. It means recognizing that being needed is not the same as being loved. It means learning that you are valuable, not because of what you do, but because of who you are. It means letting yourself be messy and imperfect and human without the fear that someone will collapse if you're not holding them up. It means grieving the childhood you lost while also honoring the person it shaped you into. You can hold both, the loss and the strength, the pain and the wisdom, the child you were and the adult you're becoming. Perhaps the deepest truth about children who had to be their parents' therapist is that they never stop caring. Even after recognizing the harm, even after setting boundaries, they still carry compassion for the parent who needed them. Because that's who they are. That capacity to love even when it hurts, to understand even when it costs them, to hold space even when no one held space for them. That's not weakness. That's humanity at its most profound. And maybe the final step of healing is not to stop caring, but to finally turn some of that care toward yourself, to become for yourself what you always were for others: the steady hand, the listening ear, the voice that says you're going to be okay, because you are. You always have been. And the fact that you're still here, still trying, still hoping for something better, proves that the child inside you, the one who had to grow up too fast, is still fighting to be seen. And they deserve to be, not for what they did, but for who they are: whole, worthy, and finally free to just be.